Welcome in to Greenville Grit, Greenville residents in touch on 103.7 WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Welcome to Greenville Grit. I am Terry Williams.
And I'm Michael Overton. Terry, it's good to see you. We've kind of had a little bit of a hiatus last few weeks, so it's glad to be back here in the studio.
Yes, good to be back.
We're going to have a good show today. We got Gary Fenton on here, and we're going to talk a lot about summer programs and everything else to do with recreation and parks. So, Gary, thank you for coming on the show today.
Good to be with you.
Yes.
But as always, we thank the sponsors of the show. So always thank you, Greenville Toyota, for your continued support since day one of this show. If you're looking for a new Toyota or a new Scion, go see Craig Goes and the Greenville Toyota team. You can catch them on the web at greenvilletoyota.com, in person across from Fresh Market in Greenville, or call them up at 321-3000. Got Ribeyes Steakhouse if you're looking for a great atmosphere, great steak, and good times with family and friends, as well as office parties too. You can go use the Angus room.
That's right.
Good salad bar. What else,
Great
Terry?
salad bar.
Exactly.
Pork chops are good if you don't happen to eat steak.
There you go. Well, visit them. Check them out. Enjoy the steaks and the good times. And they're located at the corner of Fire Tower in Arlington and Greenville, as well as in Williamston. Also thank the Overton Group and Overton Residential Properties. Got two different things going on here.
That's right.
Overton Group is commercial real estate sales and leasing, business brokerage, property management. And then we have Overton Residential Properties with...
That's right. Full service residential services with me, Trey, and Michelle Connors.
There you go. So thank you for joining in. We're going to take a 2-minute commercial break, come back, and we'll get started with the show. Be back in... Well, welcome back to the Greenville Grit. I am Michael Overton, along with my co-host Terry Williams. Terry, we have Gary Fenton on today, Director of Recreation and Parks.
That's right.
I keep wanting to say Parks and Recreation. It drives them nuts, but I finally got it right. Got a lot going on this summertime.
That's right.
I know my kids, Gary, are signed up to do some of the tennis programs through what the city's offering there, and I know one of the things you wanted to discuss today is the summer program. So let's let that be the first subject.
Well, I think the word diversity might be a good one associated with our summer program. We have a lot of staff that, focus on a particular area of recreation, and it is a diverse field. A lot of people automatically associate it with sports, which obviously is a huge piece of what we do at Recreation and Parks. And that is a big part of our summer program, especially as it relates to baseball. We have obviously a spring soccer program and a fall soccer program. In between that comes the baseball program. Our Little League is a program that's in cooperation with us. Their main site is Elm Street Park at Stallings Stadium, but there are other fields in the area as well. Little League program is a great program in our community. A lot of young people involved in it. And what they're doing again this summer that they've done for several summers now is hosting the Tournament of State Champions.
Right.
I don't know if everyone in our community grasped the significance of that. These kids come in from 8 southeast states, having won their state championship.
Right.
So during that week here in Greenville, you're going to see some good baseball because these kids have come a long way just to get to Greenville.
That's right.
Stallings Stadium and the Stallings family made that wonderful ball field into a wonderful stadium. And it really is something that we like to show off in our community. And these kids and their families that come, obviously, we like the fact that they spend a lot of money while they're here.
That's right.
That's always something we like is people to come in, leave their money when they go.
Right.
That's good for
That's
our
the best
community.
kind.
That's
It
right.
is, and no city service is required.
Yeah, that's what my wife and kids want too. They want me to come, leave my money, and go. Right?
That's about right.
My grandson plays Little League. So
Well,
both of
and
them are
we've had a
playing
lot of
baseball.
opportunities to speak to people from Florida and Alabama and all the southeast states about their experiences at home and their experiences here.
Right.
And they are impressed with that
Yes.
park. You can't help that.
That's right.
I know we don't have all the greatest recreation facilities in the world, but I've traveled a lot in Parks and Recreation over the years, and I see that Elm Street Park and that ball stadium He's top of the line.
And then
we're
we
very
have
proud
the
of it.
other the other field right
Right,
beside
the Field of Dreams, the Sarah
Field of
Vaughan Field of
Dreams,
Dreams,
that's
which
right.
is a wheelchair accessible field.
That's right.
And I love the fact that those two fields are side by side.
Exactly.
A lot of times it seems to me that programs for kids and adults with disabilities are kind of pulled away from the other programs. But we're making a statement here by saying
Right.
it's baseball's for everybody. And so that park is great, and our summer baseball program is great, and the fact that we do attract these tournaments every year.
And
is
I
a
don't know if
wonderful
the
thing.
public's aware that the baseball teams help out on Saturdays with the Sarah Vaughan Field.
With what we
teams
call the
there.
ECBL, the Exceptional
That's
Community
right.
Baseball. When the kids are on the field, they have what they call a buddy at each position.
That's right.
And so some of the little league kids and even some of the teams from ECU will take a weekend, come out,
That's
and be
right.
buddies to these kids.
That's
and it's
awesome.
it's a great experience for the kids in the program, but it's a great experience for the buddies as well.
That's right.
That's really special.
It is.
Obviously, you don't stop with sports. We've got a lot of arts programs and art camps. We focus a lot on camps in the summertime. It's an amazing how many we have, not only how many different camps we have, but how many of those camps have 8 different sessions. Some of our sessions are a week long, some of them are 2 weeks long.
Right.
There's a fee associated with them. Some are more expensive than others. Some have the ability to have a fee modification, a lowering of a fee. If you meet certain standards, we are able to do that. And all of these different opportunities, not just for kids, but kids of all ages.
Right.
3 to 93. Are all listed in our summer brochure, and those are available around town. They're available at all of our recreation facilities, and if people want to find out where's the nearest place I can get one, they just need to call our Recreation and Parks Department. That number's 329-4567.
Okay.
And we can find out where they live, and we can direct them to the place that's convenient for them to pick up
That's
that
great.
summer program brochure. So it lists everything we got. One handy dandy little.
Exactly.
They can also go to our website, which is the city's website, www.greenvillenc.gov, and click on Recreation and Parks. And the entire brochure is a PDF on
Right.
there, but also our parks, all the different parks that we have open, their hours of operation, the facilities, they're all listed there. So, and of course, they can always stop in or pick up the phone and talk
right.
with us. So,
Now, what about the splash park?
yes, we call that
The official name.
Splash Point.
Yeah, okay.
Located in Dream Park over on Chestnut Street off of Dickinson. That will start operating in the middle of May
Okay.
on weekends until school gets out, and then it operates every day
Every
of the
day.
week.
Okay.
And it's free. The only admission charge is a parent must have a child with them. That parent cannot get in without the child. And that's not a bad price.
Right.
We do think, obviously we focus on kids in that particular facility. It's a wonderful facility. I hope the day will come when we have a second
Me
one in our
too.
city because it has been so popular. I think granted, we don't want to do without aquatic facilities, meaning a place to learn to swim,
Right.
a place to competitively swim or to learn how to swim. That's an important piece as well. But an awful lot of kids in the summertime, they just want a place to get wet and be
Right.
with friends.
That's right.
And the cost of operating a splash pad, spray ground, in our case, a splash point, is much lower
Right.
than operating a pool because you don't have to have guards, you have to have attendants, you
Right.
have to have staff there. But it's not anywhere near as expensive. And same with chlorine. The water is recycled constantly.
Right.
And so you don't have a big water bill associated with that. And it's just been a very popular addition. I think this is probably our 4th year now.
I know, it's a cool place.
And it's a great place,
Yeah.
very, very popular. The pool, same thing. The outdoor pool at Guy Smith Park will operate those same weekends before school's out. And then the day school gets out, the kids can, I think it's a half day at school,
Right.
they can leave school and come. It would be open that afternoon. So,
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Are there any new programs this year that maybe haven't been offered before?
Well, there's always modifications in existing programs. I don't know that we have any necessarily brand new camps or a brand new program, but there's changes in those programs. Our art camps, for instance, don't focus on the same art projects and paintings and things
Right.
that they do the previous year. We always hope that we have new things going on, so even repeat customers get a new experience.
That's right. That sounds great.
Of course, the 4th of July will be the 4th of July, as it always is at Town Common, one of our biggest events at Town Common, and open to the public. We are very, very, very grateful that Hastings Ford has been a sponsor for that. And a corporate sponsorship is very important to us in a
Right.
lot of different
That's
areas.
right.
And team sports is one of those, but we're just very grateful for any corporation that steps forward and tries to help us provide something for the community.
Well, I think that is a wonderful transition.
I think so too.
He said the words,
He said
town
it.
commons. I know that's one of the things
On everybody's mind.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's I think some things about to happen there, and then you've got some overall plans that are being developed, as well as the Tar River Legacy Plan. So let's start that discussion.
Yeah, well, and Town Common has been the site of Sunday in the Park, as you know, for many
right.
years. But we've noticed that Sunday in the Park and the 4th of July over the years have been the times when the park is most utilized.
Right.
Yes, there are other special events too that bring people into the park, but without those events going on, we don't see a lot of use of that park. We're very blessed to have a piece of a land that magnitude on the river
right.
in our downtown, uptown area, whatever you prefer. But when you ask people, okay, why don't you go to Town Common? The answer is, why should I? And granted, it's an open space, and you can look at the river, but you can only look at the river so long.
Right.
We know that we have to do.
It's brown and it has trees.
Oh, you've been there. And when we did our town common master plan some years ago, a lot of people in our community chimed in that they think it's a good place, and we're lucky to have it. But they felt that it could be more viable,
Right.
that it could be more dynamic than it is today, and give people a reason to want to stop down there between events.
Right.
And that makes a great point. And so the Tar River Legacy Plan was done after the Town Common Master Plan to look not only at Town Common, but the entire 7-mile stretch of the river. And, when we through the Tar River Legacy Plan, as we were working on it, we met with a lot of different people in the community. Some had visions from other communities of riverside parks and riverside activities. A river being a real focal point of some communities. Other communities we talked to, have said, oh, we would have loved to have a river in our downtown master plan, but we don't have one. And we said, well, we do have one, but maybe we haven't done a lot with it.
Right.
And it is a resource. One of the things that was almost shocking about the process of going through the Tar River Legacy Plan or developing it was the fact that one of the questions that was asked is, where do you take your out-of-town guests who come to Greenville? One of the answers, and a rather prominent answer, unfortunately, was out of town. And the other, there was no real single answer to that
Right.
question. It might be a ECU football game, might be a Sunday in the Park concert, but there was no consistent, we always do this, we always do
Right.
that. And so it said to us, but we do have this resource. We don't have the beach, we don't have the ocean, we don't have the mountains, but we've got this river. And in fact, if you look closely, it is a very beautiful river.
Right, it is.
Yeah,
It really
I mean, it's brown, yes, at times, and that's a natural thing.
sometimes not.
No, and sometimes not. And I think that people sometimes associate that with dirty, and that's not at all. It has nothing to do with bacteria and germs.
Right.
It has to do with the natural environment there. But yes, if you hike along the river, the Greenway, when one of the legs of the Greenway opened a few years back, right along the river, it really brought access to people. People were seeing parts of the river they hadn't seen before. And this has been, in the Tar River Legacy Plan, something that came out is we don't have a lot of access points. So that's what we're trying to work on, is make it easy to access the river, to get up close to it,
Right.
and see it and enjoy it. And protect it. I mean, we know it's our water source, so it's not like we want to develop everything that might impact our ability
Right.
to have fresh, clean water. But we know that. We know that's the first priority. But you can have the second and third priorities as well.
Right.
And so the whole issue of the Tar River Legacy Plan was, what can we do over time that makes it more viable to people? Fishermen, yes. Boaters, yes. What about people that don't want to boat and want to fish? Well, can we introduce them to see if they might like it? Can we give them an opportunity to try kayaking?
Right.
Today, it's very difficult. Tomorrow, I don't think so. We're looking at spots where we can put in kayak launches and such, make it easy.
Right.
Even to the point of partnering with a private kayak firm, canoe firm that might lease a kayak and canoe for the day, maybe even teach kayaking and
Right.
canoeing to give these beginners an experience. Kayaking, by the way, I don't think people realize this. If you're kayaking in fast water, yes, it's very difficult. In a slow river like the Tar, that's generally a slow river, it's an easy sport to grab. You can get
Right.
successful in the first day. You can come back and say, it wasn't frustrating, I enjoyed that,
Right.
and I'll be back. And so we think that the Tar River Legacy Plan over time, as we adopt pieces of it, will open the river to people that maybe even have never thought they needed it. to say,
Right.
I'm glad we have it, and guess where I'm going to take my out-of-town guests? To the Tar River.
I know you and I talked a little bit before the show about the greenways and the difference that it makes when you pass by like Green Springs Park and you see it from that way. It looks one way, but if you can actually, my husband and I took our grandsons with their bikes down. Oh boy, it wore me out too. It's a long way from Green Springs all the way to the river, but it's just a whole different focus when you actually get out there on it. And I hope more people will do that before they make a lot of negative comments. Look at the positive things that it does have to offer, and really getting to see the river up close. If you haven't done that, you need to do it.
It's when you look at greenways today, I mean, there are people who think, oh, we don't need greenways. We've done without them all this time. And the more we expand our greenways and connect to another piece,
Right.
the more neighborhoods that have easy access to the river,
Right.
easy access to other neighborhoods, easy access to each other, and can stay fit in the process.
Right.
It's funny, I know if you've been to San Antonio, they have the river walk there, which is actually down below the level of the street. And if you're walking 12 blocks on the street, it seems like a long walk. If you're walking 12 blocks on the Riverwalk, one level below the street, you're there in no time at all.
Right.
Because it's beautiful, it's social, your mind is not on the walk, it's on the experience. And that's
Right.
what a greenway does for us as well. And it keeps us off the roads, which sometimes helps with traffic issues and pollution and all
That's
that, and
right.
it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about greenways. I believe there's work going on.
There's work going on right now on basically the Elm Street Park College Hill end of the Greenway, taking it over to Evans Street. That project is underway today. And that's going from one end of the Greenway. The other end of the Greenway will be another year away. It will go from Town Common over to Nash Street off of 5th, near the Epps Recreation
Right.
Center.
Right.
And again, on those connect. So you'll be able to go from Evans Park or Evans Street, real near the park, all the way to Elm Street Park, all the way to Green Springs Park, all the way to the river, to Town Common, and all the way then over to Nash Street near Epps Recreation Center. And that's not the end.
Right.
We do know that the greenway system, unfortunately, it's not something you snap your fingers and make happen. It's a long stretch.
Right.
And we got started late, no question. But now people are starting to see the value.
Right.
And they're starting to say, I like a nice long bike ride, safe. You're not crossing traffic very often at all,
Right.
maybe one spot or another. But it's just a wonderful way of getting your exercise, but being out and enjoying family. And you mentioned Green Springs Park. That's a nice, beautiful little park off 5th Street. But when you go by there today, because it's a trailhead, you often see lots of cars in the
Right.
parking lot, but nobody in the park, or a few people in the park. That's because they're on the Greenway.
Right.
And, we joke about the fact that a lot of communities, you don't have to drive to get on to Greenway. You don't have to drive to walk.
Right.
Okay. Eventually, it may be 2 decades from now, but eventually I think we'll see more and more neighborhoods linking to the Greenway
Right.
because the Greenway is going to be in their neighborhood as well. And they can connect to any other businesses, to parks, to the river, to recreational opportunities, to government, to theater, to restaurants. They'll all be
That's
on
right.
that system, and that's the vision.
Well, I know there's citizens within our city that, enjoy the Greenway, and some citizens didn't see the need for it, but we have an awful lot. We know in our industry that people coming here from other states, other part of the countries, are used to those amenities in the cities they're moving here from, and they are asking for it, and they're excited that we're getting it, and they want to see what it looks like, and they want to be able to use it.
It's funny you'd say that because as I've worked in parks and recreation agencies across the nation, not across the nation, but in Ohio and
Right.
Virginia, several different, and then in North Carolina. Greenways in a community that's never seen them are often opposed. And it's like there's a fear that it's going to bring some element that's going to steal my color TV or whatever.
Right.
And that's not unique to Greenville.
Right.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. That's right.
And yet those people that finally, when you get through all of that, and this Greenway is built, and they can access it maybe out of their backyard.
Right.
I'll tell you what's on their advertisement when they go to sell their house. Easy access to the
Right,
Greenway.
exactly.
They become the biggest fans. The people that opposed it strongest become the biggest
Right.
fans, and that's really nice.
Yeah, it is. That is great.
Well, let's switch back probably to the town commons. We did
Okay.
talk about the legacy plan. We talked about access points to the river, but I know there's some things actually going on the town commons. Let's talk about that.
The most pressing project right now is the Trillium Playground. You may know that the Trillium Company is donating $750,000 to do an accessible playground. Many of their clients and customers do have disabilities. And so that becomes a very high priority for them. And that's great. I wish we could develop every playground to be accessible.
Right.
And that is in the goal someday, that we won't build one that's not. Obviously, the cost is higher to do that. We create a poured-in-place surface that's resilient. It's not concrete. It's a surface that if you fell on it, if you got injured, it would be a minimal injury. But that creates a lot more expense. And it's wonderful to have this resource. Now, as we started looking at what we would like to have at Town Common in terms of a playground, suddenly the $750,000 was all eaten up. At first you think it's a lot of money, and it is. I mean, that we've never spent anything near that for a playground. And that's why we chose Town Common, because we see it as our central park. We see it as not as a neighborhood park, but as everybody's park. And I think it's going to be, we've gotten an extension on it because we want to try to raise a little more money so we don't have to take certain very desirable elements out.
Right.
Nobody will, no matter how it ends up, they're going to be impressed. But it's going to be something that everybody can kind of latch onto and say, this is mine too.
Right.
And I'm thrilled that Trillium was so grateful to do this, so generous to do this, rather. They've done it in numerous communities in eastern North Carolina. We got one of the biggest grants here in Greenville, but it's going to make a difference for the people we serve. And you know what? We talk about being an inclusive city. And that means that also means that people with disabilities aren't segregated from other people.
Right.
That the kids can play together, the families can interact together, and we're going to see something special there. And I think it's going to kind of set the tone for the rest of the park. As we look at the master plan, one of the pieces that's very important to us is a commemoration of the Sycamore Hill Memorial Baptist Church.
That's right.
And that was an amazing church. It was an amazing part of life in that area of our city.
It was.
Architecturally, it was absolutely gorgeous.
It was a beautiful church.
Beautiful.
And it was right there on the corner. We have a wonderful photograph of then Senator John Kennedy coming across what was the Green Street Bridge, which is now down at the other end of the park on the Greenway. But that bridge there across the river, with him coming across that in an open car to campaign in Greenville for the presidency. And the church is there, and the band is from the high school is there. Wonderful, wonderful picture, but it tells you how significant that area is. And so we're working with some of the members of the church to try to come up with a good plan that tells the story and commemorates that wonderful place that was right there at the Town Common. Yes, it's a park today, but it has a history.
That's right.
And there are a lot of people involved in that history, and I think we need to respect that history.
Well, I think it's probably a good time to take our second break.
Yep.
It's been a great talk so far. So we're going to take our second commercial break. We'll be back in a minute, and we'll wrap up our show with Gary Fenton. Be back in a
Welcome back to our show today. We've had a great conversation with Gary Fenton from Recreation and Parks. So many activities coming up. Summer's got to be just triple your time on the job, so to speak, and with so much going on. We don't have a whole lot of time, so I want to give you as much time as possible to share what you have left to tell us all about it.
Well, we're in, I think, our 43rd season, 42nd or 43rd season of Sunday in the Park. I think it's qualified as tradition now, you know. But we're going to start it a little earlier this year.
Okay.
This weekend, actually, May the 7th, we're going to have what we call the Celebration of Youth Expression. Now, this is on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, but it's kind of the kickoff to Sunday in the Park because it's going to be on the stage at the amphitheater and at Town Common. And this is an opportunity for young people in our community to kind of show off their talents. Some of those are performing talents,
That's
singing,
a great
dancing,
idea.
that kind of thing. And some of it is artwork that will be on display as well. That's at 5:30 Saturday, the 7th of May. The following weekend, we will begin May 15th. The Jarvis Memorial will present Donald Davis and a musical group. He's a storyteller, a little different than what we've done in the past, but he's backed by all this music through the program. So that's earlier. We're having 14, I believe, different concerts this year.
Wow.
There's some of the Tar River Community Band, some of the old standbys, Tar River Community Band, Emerald City Big Band, the Monitors, who have never missed a Sunday in the Park since the beginning.
Wow.
We don't know how we could ever stop that. It's forever now. Trainwreck will be back. They're a very, very popular group. And then other groups like the Speculations, Rebecca Todd, and the Odyssey, Liverpool, which is a Beatles-focused event. And then the final one of the season is called The Stranger, and it's a Billy Joel tribute.
Oh, wow.
And
So these are all the different Sunday in the Parks and who's playing.
That's right.
And again, where can people go to get this information?
Well, it's going to be on our website, and on the website, it does list each band and what kind of band they are, if they want to
Okay.
get familiar with that.
Great.
We also have a little cards that we're distributing through. We'll have these at the very first concert as well.
Okay.
We'll have them at all the concerts, and people can
Great.
put that up on the refrigerator and see what's
And
coming
what's that
next year.
website URL? One more time.
That is www.greenvillenc.gov.
And where do they go when they go to there?
They go
Just
to the Recreation and Parks
Recreation
page.
and Parks.
Last thing I want to mention is that Beatrice May Park this Saturday, we have a wonderful dedication of some
Okay.
improvements in that park. 10 o'clock in the morning over on Farmville Boulevard. A wonderful project done by some volunteers in our community.
Well, Gary,
That's
thank you for
awesome.
coming on. It's wonderful to have you back, and let's be wrapping our show up. So
Yes.
thank you again to Greenville Toyota, to Ribeye Steakhouse, Overton Group, and Overton Residential Properties. Thank you again, Gary, for spending your time with us. Make sure you check out the Greenville website. And check us out again Friday night and Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m., I think, Saturday
That's right.
morning. So till next time, we'll see you back at the Greenville Grit.